One day you'll wake up in a dilapidated house. No food, no water. But you still have hope that this horror has an end. And one day you'll return to your normal life. It's Crowd Games, and today we have a game that is really difficult to call a game. This is a real challenge that you will attempt to overcome, trying to stay human. The designers drew inspiration from the Siege of Sarajevo, but the game takes place in the fictional city of Pogoran Grasnavia, in which civilians gripped by the horrors of civil war are trying to survive at any cost. This War of Mine is a cooperative game that is based on the eponymous video game, which in the day had a huge success, received many awards and gained a whole army of fans. In the board game, you play together, each time living a unique story of courage and despair. Therefore, all players either lose or win together. But first, let's talk about what this War of Mine is. To start the game, you do not need to read all the rules at once. Your first game day is your training course. All you need is to set up the components. Place the game board. It is double-sided, and it is more difficult to play on the side without the ideas space, so we recommend playing your first game on a simpler side. Draw 3 characters. Each of them starts the game with a level 2 hunger token. Distribute the cards on the board. Place the fitting cards with the green corner on the fitting space, and the rest on the ideas space. Remove the cards with the red corner from the decks of residents and night raids for now. They'll appear in the game later. Prepare the event deck. Place cards of events and chapters in a certain order as is described in the rules. Place a lockpick, a shovel, 4 components, 4 wood, 2 water, and 3 raw food in the storage. So, a new day begins, and the first thing you have to do is to draw and resolve the top card from the events deck. They usually don't bode well. It gets colder, someone may get sick or get depressed. Yes, each of the characters is an ordinary person who can get sick, die of starvation, or severe wounds. Each card features the name of the person and who they were before the war. For example, a loader, a reporter, or a professor of mathematics. Everyone has personality traits that will sooner or later manifest themselves one way or another. Also, each character has a level of prowess, empathy, and inventory. Each of these parameters is incredibly important. Prowess, for example, shows how many times you can re-roll the dice during a fight or a night raid, and the inventory indicates how many items you can carry after the next scavenging. The game starts in a dilapidated house. You have to clean up the rubble, inspect the furniture, and collect all the useful things that are left in the house. All items are sent to the storage, where they are stored until they are used or stolen by looters. At the same time, you definitely need to somehow furnish your home. Of course, you can sleep on the floor, but still the bed is more comfortable and warmer. And also you need to find drinking water somewhere, so it will not hurt to use a water collector. And the trap is going to help you catch quite an edible rat. And without a heater, you definitely can't survive in such a harsh winter. However, resources and powers are limited. Each character can perform a maximum of 3 actions per day. And if black dots appear on their states tokens, the number of possible actions will be reduced. 3 black dots mean that a person is simply unable to do anything. And after all the actions you have done, you need to provide your characters with food and water, otherwise their hunger will worsen. Next, you decide who stays to guard the house and who goes scavenging. During the scavenging, you have a choice of 3 locations where you can find useful items, food, or medicine. Some places are quieter, while the others are more dangerous. You take as many cards from the deck of Unknown as indicated to the location, and resolve them one after another, following various instructions and making choices between several options of what might or might not happen next. One of the most important parameters during the scavenging is the noise level. Every time a card tells to roll for the noise and the result is equal to or less than the noise level, an encounter with the residents takes place. But honestly, the fewer such encounters you have, the better. If the noise level has already risen high enough, it is better not to risk and finish scavenging. After the scavenging, you can take home as much loot as the total inventory of the character allows. Some things are small and light and weigh almost nothing, while others take up almost all the space, so you have to choose. And at the same time, your home is being raided, and it is better if your guard is armed, otherwise they have to fight hand to hand. The higher the prowess of the guard, the better their weapons. And the more holes you have boarded up in the house, the higher the probability that you are able to successfully fight the raiders. Otherwise, your storage may be looted, and your guard be seriously injured or even killed. When your comrades return from scavenging, they bring useful items with them, maybe some medicine or food. You treat the sick and wounded, and then you resolve the fate card. For example, you determine which of the character's states have become worse or better. Replace one of the locations, find out if someone has got into your trap, and see what happens to the characters depending on different personality traits. And so every day until the end of the war. But the problem is that it is very difficult to survive in such conditions. Every day the number of cards in the deck of residents and night raids increases, and sooner or later you face not vagabonds but armed bandits. I hope you'll have enough weapons by that time. Hunger increases, injuries get worse, and depression may reach a critical point. And if any of the character states tokens reaches level 4, they die or leave, and all is left is to read the epilogue. Also, the game consists of chapters, and each of these chapters has its own goal. If you do not have time to do it, you have to face very unpleasant consequences. Throughout the game, you fight for life in all possible ways, but even in these harsh circumstances, there are some bright moments. When help suddenly comes out of the blue, when a night is quiet and no one attacks your home, and you fix your guitar, brew some coffee, and realize that everything is not so bad. The story is driven by a huge number of scripts collected in a thick book. It is simply impossible to play the same game as it constantly evolves and exposes you to various twists of fate and events. This awesome game will make you think of many things. You'll experience a whole range of feelings, you'll be overcome with despair and joy, you'll make very difficult choices and find the way to live with them. In the game, much depends on you, but as in real life, especially in war, you'll be shackled by a number of circumstances. I would very much like such events to never happen in real life, and that people only encounter them during the game. We wish you peace, and we do not say goodbye. Stay tuned.